For today's workflow, our objective is to determine open or unleased federal and state lands, and we'll also take a look at performing some research on upcoming and historical lease sales. IHS Markit federal and state land and lease data is a complete historical file. This data includes lease histories from 1920 forward. In addition, it also includes spatial layers such as units, participating areas, communitization agreements, and many other spatial layers as well. Over 1.2 million patents, exchanges, and acquired land records had to be examined to derive subsurface ownership. With IHS Markit federal and state lease data, we can determine whether the subsurface is owned by the federal government, or BLM, state, or fee ownership. We then compare the subsurface ownership with our lease data to quickly determine open or unleased lands. So for today's workflow exercise, we're going to focus in on the Delaware Basin, specifically the New Mexico side, so we can look at the federal and state lands. So the first step I'll do is zoom in to our area of interest, and I'll do that by selecting this button, holding Shift, clicking and dragging. So then I can navigate to our table of contents by selecting this button in the upper left. And we have our unleased federal and state lands right here. I'll select these two. I can click the text to be provided with the legend. So then it's very easy to identify all of your unleased or open federal and state lands. But it's also important to note that just because an area isn't leased, that doesn't imply it can be leased. Coal leases, coal mines, wilderness study areas, and national parks are all some of the things that can impact your ability to secure a lease. Included with the IHS Markit federal and state lease data are additional layers that include all those I've just mentioned, along with many others. So we can identify some of those by looking at our other mineral leases. So we do have your solid mineral leases here, as well as coal leases and coal mines. And then under the Land Rights and Ownership tab, there's our BLM wilderness study areas. So if you're focused on identifying unleased or open federal and state lands, you might have an interest in researching historical and upcoming lease sales as well. So within our table of contents, we do have that information in here also. So we can identify that by expanding on this layer, oil and gas lease sales. And again, by clicking the text, we can access our legend. So I can see that we do have some historical activity over here. So I can quickly zoom in to this area and get some additional information. Now that I have these layers active, I can use either of these two buttons to drill down and create some reports. So by selecting this one, I can grab this area right here. And anywhere I see this icon is how I can create one of my reports. So for the lease sales, there's multiple reports that we can generate. For this exercise, we'll take a look at the lease sale results, and we'll look at a CSV, and I'll create that. Now all of your reports, they're going to appear here in your user outputs. So we can take a look at our lease sale results. So you're always going to get serial number information, recordation ID is over here. You're going to have lessee name. And then towards the right, you have acreage information, the bid per acre, and your total bid as well. So we can go back into Land Studio, and we can zoom back out. So we do have some upcoming sales in the southern part of Eddy. So we can zoom in over here and kind of get some data on these upcoming sales. So you can get your sell date, acreage information, various other attributes as well. Again, you see this icon right here. So if you need to create additional reports for the upcoming lease sales, you can do that as well. So with the IHS Markit federal and state land and lease data, it's very easy to determine subsurface ownership, unleased lands, upcoming and historical lease sale information, and many other critical federal land cases, such as units, participating areas, and communitization agreements. With Land Studio, you can quickly create reports, which reduces the time brokers need to perform research and allows you to focus on additional opportunities.